Alright then, so let's be honest, right? So most companies, छोटी हो या बड़ी, right? So uh, छोटी हो या बड़ी, पहले वो क्या फोकस करते हैं मैं वो डिस्कस करता हूँ, ठीक है? सो बड़ी कंपनीज क्या करती हैं, राइट? सो दे फोकस ऑन बिल्डिंग फीचर्स, राइट? सो दे फोकस ऑन बिल्डिंग फीचर्स, करेक्ट? Building features nobody really asks for, right? So first of all, um, what they do is basically they go forward, so they build features first of all, then they what they do is basically 6 months of meeting, right? So they try to plan 6 months of meeting, sprint, all those things, okay? 6 months of meeting, स्प्रिंट और टेस्टिंग कैसे करें वो सब कुछ एक ही बार में बता देते हैं, ठीक है? ऐसे ऐसे करेंगे, वैसे करेंगे, ऐसे करेंगे, ओके? सो आई हैव सीन दिस हैपन अगेन एंड अगेन, राइट? सो एंटरप्राइज स्पेंड क्रोर्स building a new dashboard, users open it once, take a screenshot, close it forever, right? So startup add startups adds a new button thinking that ये फीचर से ग्रोथ आएगा, बट रिजल्ट क्या होता है? सर्वर पे लोड बढ़ता है, राइट? सो रेवेन्यू नहीं, बट सर्वर पे लोड बढ़ रही है, ठीक है? सो ये पर्टिकुलर चीज़ें मैंने नोटिस की है. सो द ट्रूथ, इट्स नॉट अबाउट द आइडियाज़ आर बैड, द प्रोसेस आर ब्लाइंड, ठीक है? जो वो लोग फॉलो कर रहे हैं ना, प्रोसेस ब्लाइंड है, ठीक है? सो प्रोसेस इज़ ब्लाइंड, okay? So process is blind, okay? So process is blind, okay? Let me take this and little bit, okay? So now imagine something different. What if we before writing a single line of code, you could test a feature, see the real user's attraction, know exact whether it's worth building or not, right? That's what video is all about. One simple system that lets you validate a single feature in a days, not months, right? So we call it as a feature innovation sprint, right? So what we call it as, this is a feature innovation sprint, right? Here we do feature innovation sprint, okay? We call this as feature innovation sprint, okay? So but first let me tell you why this matters to me. When I started building a products, I used to think speed equals to success, right? Whenever I think about it, speed is equal to success. Speed is equal to success. I was thinking like that, like if we build in a speed, we will get into the success we will reach into the success part. Faster you ship, the smarter you are. So I built fast, I launched fast, I failed faster, right? So every time same story, right? Every time same story. We spend thinking building features no one care about, and when I look at the analytics, right, I realized something powerful, something painful, that we never tested whether people even wanted it or not. So then when I decided no more guessing, from now on proof before production, right? Data before development, right? So because innovation does not mean building more, it means learning faster. So today I am going to show you exactly how one enterprise tested a single feature before coding, saved a year and crores of rupees. We look at a startup used as the same approach, validated idea for rupees 8,000 instead of rupees 18 lakhs. Right? We talk about founder who didn't and how that one decision killed his product. So by end of this video, you will know one thing clearly, that guessing is expensive, testing is profitable. So answer me in the comments right now, would you test a feature before a coding? So why I care and my story behind this method, right? So that we will be going to focus about. Uh, you know that when people see my work today, na, so Nirbricks validation sprints frameworks, they think that I always had a clarity. Okay, so when people see my work today, na, so work my today in Nirvex, right? So validation sprint, this, that, and all those stuffs, right? Nirvex, whatever I approach towards that, na, validation sprints, it may be frameworks, they think that I always had a clarity. Truth, I didn't. This is not what I started with. When I started, I was exactly like every other builder. I had ideas, I had skills, I had energy, right? So, but I had no system here, right? So, I remember my first project clearly. We were building an internal tool for a client, एक छोटी enterprise थी. We added every features they mentioned in the meetings. डैशबोर्ड, ऑटो रिपोर्ट्स, चार्ट्स, फिल्टर्स, एक्सपोर्ट टू PDF, सब कुछ. लॉन्च के बाद क्लाइंट बोला नाइस, पर मुझे एक रिपोर्ट चाहिए थी, वो भी ईमेल में. 6 वीक्स का काम, 1 रिपोर्ट यूज़ हुआ. दैट डे हिट मी हार्ड. आई रियलाइज समथिंग मोस्ट फाउंडर लर्न टू लेट. यूजर्स डोंट केयर हाउ मच यू बिल्ड, दे केयर अबाउट हाउ मच यू सॉल्व. Okay, so मुझे लगा मैं बिल्डर हूँ, मैं बना लूँगा सब कुछ, बट बिल्डर बनना मतलब ब्लाइंड में सब कुछ सोचना. ठीक है, इट मीन्स दैट बीइंग अ स्मार्ट इनफ टू टेस्ट बिफोर बिल्डिंग. तब मैंने अपने लिए एक रूल बनाया, इट्स नॉट टेस्टेड, इट्स नॉट रियल. ओके, इट्स नॉट टेस्टेड, इट्स नॉट रियल. और स्लोली started applying this rule everywhere. So first project we validated one module with a Google form before coding. We found out 70% users didn't even want that module. We scraped it, we saved 2 months of dev time. So that's when I saw the pattern. Every time we tested before building, the project can run smoother, faster, cheaper, and team felt lighter. Every time we skipped testing, right, we paid the price in confusion, rework and stress. इतना सिंपल था पर कोई करता ही नहीं था. Because testing feels slow in the beginning, but the truth is guessing wastes more time than testing ever will. Okay, that's what gave the birth of feature innovation sprint, right? Short focus, zero jargon process to test one feature before you spend a rupee on a full code, right? मैं मानता हूँ कोडिंग फास्ट डज नॉट मेक यू स्मार्ट. कोडिंग फास्ट डज नॉट मेक यू स्मार्ट, लर्निंग फास्ट डज, राइट? और जब एक फीचर टेस्ट करते हो ना, सो यू आर नॉट slowing down, you are avoiding disaster. This method isn't a story, isn't a theory. It's born from my own scars, my failed products, and the mistakes I watched companies make repeatedly. This is why I care about too much. So before we dive into the system, let me know, let me show you why this approach matters with a real story of enterprise that almost burnt year's budget, a single untested idea. Okay, so let's dive into it. Let's talk about the real problem, not a technology, not a talent. Biggest reason why features fail is an assumption. Everyone is assuming, right? So founder assumes. See here. So what happens here basically? Feature. There is a quote here, right? So everyone is assuming, in terms of future founders, what founders will do now? Founders, this is considered this as a, right? He is a founder. So this founder assumes that user will love it. Users will love it. You should never ever assume it, right? User will love it. What another guy under him, product manager, right, assumes that customer will understand it. Developers assumes that ये तो simple है, सबको चाहिए होगा, ठीक है. So then 6 months later analytics दिखाता है कि nobody even clicked on it. So let's make it real. So you are a founder, you have an app, you decide add new premium dashboard so users can see the analytics. You spend 3 lakhs, 3 months, 10 team meetings, launch होता है और users क्या करता है? They open it once, screenshot लेते हैं, बंद कर देते हैं, and you build a temple. Users just came for prasad, right? So you build a temple and user just came only for prasad, right? Or are you an enterprise? You added a new approval workflow feature. Team spent weeks defending the logic, right? So when it goes live, half the employees ignores it and keep using the email approvals. Result, innovation becomes a dead weight. देखा जाए तो हर फेल्ड फीचर एक ही प्रॉब्लम से फेल होता है, नो वैलिडेशन बिफोर क्रिएशन, राइट? सो यू नो व्हाट्स दिस फनी, वाई इट इज़ फनी हियर? एवरीवन टॉकिंग अबाउट डेटा ड्रिवन डिसीजंस, बट जब नए फीचर्स बनाना होता है सब कुछ गट फीलिंग से चलता है. डेटा तब यूज़ होता है जब फीचर फ्लो हो गया है, ठीक है? फीचर फ्लॉप हो गया है, सो ब्लेम करने के लिए. सो अब मैं एक सिंपल क्वेश्चन समझाता हूँ. अनवैलिडेटेड आइडिया इज़ एक्सपेंसिव गैस, वैलिडेटेड फीचर इज़ अ स्मार्ट बैट. एवरी रोड मैप आइटम इज़ अ बैट, ठीक है? सो जो रोड मैप में आइटम जो भी चीज़ें आती है वो एक बेट की तरह है, ठीक है? सो but most companies treat it as like a to-do list, right? So they think that it is in the roadmap, तो बनाना ही है. भाई रोड मैप कुरान नहीं है. अगर फीचर फेल हो रहा है डिलीट करो, टेस्ट करो या रीथिंक करो. और एक हार्श ट्रूथ है, फाउंडर्स एंड प्रोडक्ट टीम्स इक्वेट कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी विथ इनोवेशन करते हैं. दे थिंक दैट अगर फीचर बड़ा है तो वैल्यू ज़्यादा है. रियलिटी में क्या होती है? मोस्ट यूजर्स डोंट वांट कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी, ठीक है? यूजर्स को कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी नहीं चाहिए, दे वांट क्लैरिटी, राइट? आई विल टेल यू स्ट्रेट, पीपल डोंट वेक अप थिंकिंग दैट यार मुझे एक और फीचर चाहिए. दे वेक अप थिंकिंग मुझे आप अपना काम सिंपल बनाना है, राइट? सो तो अगर आपका फीचर उनका काम ईजी ही बना रहा है तो चाहे उसमें AI हो, ML हो या ब्लॉकचेन हो, दे विल नॉट केयर अबाउट दैट, राइट? सो That's a gap. I wanted to fix with feature innovation sprint. Instead of spending 6 months building, you spend 2 weeks testing whether the world even wants it. Because believe me, building without validation is like a shooting arrows in the dark, right? कभी टारगेट लगाता है, कभी बॉस को लग जाता है, ठीक है? कभी टारगेट को लगता है, कभी बॉस को लग जाता है. सो नाउ टू मेक दिस रियल, लेट मी शो यू how one enterprise almost made the same mistake and how testing just one feature saved them crores of rupees and month of wasted work. Let's go into that story. Okay, so मैं वो पर्टिकुलर स्टोरी के बारे में हम डिस्कस करते हैं सो दैट आपको पता तो चले कि ये क्या चीज़ें मैं बात कर रहा हूँ. ठीक है, सो मैं थोड़ा बहुत यहाँ पे एक्सप्लेन करना ट्राई करूँगा. सो वॉट एवर द थिंग्स आई हैव एक्सपीरियंस इट, मैं स्ट्रक्चर करके आपको समझा रहा हूँ यहाँ पे वन बाय वन. ऐसी चीज़ें हो सकती है, ऐसी चीज़ें हो सकती है. सो let me tell you a story, a real one, a story of how one big enterprise almost wasted a year building a feature and no one needed until they ran a feature innovation sprint, right? So एक सेटअप था. सो देर इज़ अ वेल नोन प्राइवेट बैंक इन इंडिया, लेट्स कॉल इट एज अ सेफ बैंक. बड़ा नाम था, बड़ा कस्टमाइज बेस था, डिजिटल ऐप था, मिलियंस ऑफ यूजर्स थे. देयर प्रोडक्ट टीम हैड अ न्यू आइडिया लाइक बिल स्प्लिट फॉर फैमिलीज. ओके, बिल स्प्लिट फॉर फैमिलीज, ठीक है, सिंपल कॉन्सेप्ट है. Let's allow joint account holders or a family members to split a pay household bills instantly from an inside the banking app. ठीक है, no need of WhatsApp, no Excel tracking, no reminders. On paper sounded perfect. The leadership team loved it. Product manager started writing a requirements. Vendor start quoting the 2 crore for an integration and back-end work. Timeline was a 9 months. Everything was ready, except one question. Do people even want for split bills inside a banking app? ठीक है, सो वो रिसर्च करने पे ट्राई नहीं किए इन लोगों ने. ठीक है, सो एवरीवन वाज रेडी, एवरीथिंग वाज रेडी. डू पीपल इवन वांट टू स्प्लिट द बिल्स इनसाइड अ बैंकिंग ऐप? टू बी हॉनेस्ट, no one knew. But normally what happens in big companies, you don't question senior management, you just say yes sir, let's build it. But this time one product head, let's call her Ritu, right, decided. Okay, so okay, so let's call her Ritu. Okay, this is a girl. Okay, so decided to pause. She said, let's test a feature before we code it, right? So let's test the feature before we code it, right? Of course, everyone in the room laughed. Ritu, ये ऐप फीचर टेस्ट कैसे करें बिना कोड के? We need backend, KYC, RBI approval, data security, you know the typical excuses, right? But Ritu was firm. She said, if we spend crores, we will test the feature first. And that's where the feature innovation sprint began, right? So Ritu broke the project into the one goal, one metric. And she told that if we offer in an app bill split, user should complete at least one split transaction. Right? So metric that 1.5% of users who sees this feature who actually uses it. Timeline is 14 days, budget is 1 lakh, right? Simple, measurable, time boxed here. So now here is a smart part. They did not build anything here. They simply added a banner inside an app, a banner into an app like new split household bills with your family, try now. When user clicked it, they saw a prototype, not a real feature. So it looks real through screens showing, adding the members, split amount, sending invite, confirm payment. When users hit confirm, Instead of real payment, it showed that thank you for trying the split bills beta. We'll notify you when it launches. Behind the scenes, Ritu Teams tracks the clicks, form, starts, drop offs, and feedback. No backend, no integration. Just design, fake flow, and analytics. The results they ran for 2 weeks, and 5,000 users saw the banner, 160 people clicked, 3.2% CTR, 96 people started the flow, and 45 completed the split, 18 went all way to simulated payment. In percentage, 0.36% conversion, that's it. Now normally team celebrates, right? We got 160 clicks, but Ritu did not stop there. Okay, so she interviewed 20 users who tried it and 20 who didn't. And here is what they said: idea is nice, but I don't trust others to pay on time. I don't trust others to pay on time. So मुझे WhatsApp में रिमाइंडर करना ईजी लगता है. I don't want to add my family members accounts here. So UI बहुत complicated लग रहा था, and that's when it's clicked. The feature was not solving a real pain, and people did not want an automation. They want assurance, right? So another thing, like this, Ritu sat down and with her team and said, problem is not splitting a bills. Problem is not splitting the bills. Okay. The problem is a trust and confirmation. Okay. User didn't care about the auto split. They want a simple way to ensure everyone's pay, right? So now imagine if they had a full 2 crore module, right? So integration, backend, design, marketing, and launched it, they would have failed abruptly, right? Instead, they spent 1 lakh 2 weeks and discover the truth. Right? You know what's funny here? The failed test became the best meeting of the year. CEO said, you saved us building another flop feature, and suddenly every department want to run their own mini sprint. HR said, can we test employee engagement feature like this? Marketing said, can we test campaign feature like this? Ritu laughed and said, of course. Of course. The works is in validation works in every domain. So if you work in a corporate, right, the story is your mirror, because every big company thinks we are too big to test. Reality, you are too big not to test. You are too big not to test. The bigger you are, the more money you waste on assumptions. And when you add a feature innovation sprint into your workflow, you are not slowing the innovation, you are de-risking it. So let's summarize what Ritu did in one line. She replaced assumption with an experiment. She replaced we think with we know. So that one mindset shift saved her company 9 months and crores of rupees. Right? So now you might thinking like, Akash, this works for big enterprise with data teams, but what about a small startup? Can they test features this way too? Of course they can. In fact, they should do it even more aggressively, because they can't afford to fail. Right? So let me show you how a small startup ran this same sprint. With 80,000 no engineers and Google form, they still proved their features before building it. So let's talk about the split charge. Okay, so let's talk about that. Okay, let's discuss that. Now let's go into the big corporate to small startup, because testing is not just about for banks or an enterprise. It's even about critical for founders who have limited time and cash. So number one is problem setup, right? So let's discuss that first. Problem setup. Problem setup. Okay. So three colleague friends had a idea. Every weekend they would go to what they will go? They will go to chai, okay, food, petrol, and sometimes trips. Okay, sometimes they will go for trips. Okay. Okay. So sometimes go for a trips, and every single time they argued over like भाई किसने कितना दिया, किसने पे किया नहीं. They thought, right, let's make an app that automatically splits the bills among friends. It sound familiar, right? So almost everyone had that thought. So they call it as a split charge. Okay. So their first instinct is like, let's hire a developer, make an app, integrate UPI to do the cool UI, right? So, but then they remembered something they would heard in a startup talk: test before you build. Okay, so they heard about that. So instead your code, they decided to run a 10-day feature innovation sprint, right? So here they wrote one simple statement on a whiteboard: if we allow friends to groups of friends to split the bills easily with the payment links, at least 10 out of 100 people will pay rupees 99 to join our beta. But that was a goal, no jargon, no complex dashboard here. So here what we did is basically, right, so they didn't build an app, so they made a one page landing page on a Notion or Gumroad. So headline: split bill easily with your gang, pay rupees 49, refundable to reserve your beta access. They added 3 fake screenshots made on Figma, no backend, no code, and ran the Instagram and Facebook ads near college campus, and 80,000 rupees spent, total spent. They also messaged 50 friends directly: bro, we are building an app, support the beta. The data: in 10 days, 2,400 people visited, 120 signed up, 35 actually paid, and out of those 35, they invited 10 groups, around 40 people, to a WhatsApp pilot. How did the pilot work? Super manual. Every time someone messaged, we split 500 for a lunch, one for founders, personally made a Google Sheet entry, and each friend had a custom UPI link and tracked who paid. So it was a crazy manual work but powerful learning here. After 1 week of pilot, they realized three truths. People don't want an auto split, they just want a reliable reminders and proof of payment. The most the most used message was, please send me the screenshot once you pay. So trust was the real feature. User didn't care about the app logo or a design, they care about not forgetting who owned money. So instead of building a fancy app with a 10 screens, they pivoted. Now their MVP was just a simple add bill, send the payment links, mark it as a paid flow, right? So impact it as a plain math. Let's do simple math here, right? So full build cost, UPI integration, backend, app store, it's like 15 to 18 lakhs, right? So 10-day cost is 18k ads plus 12k mockups, which is equal to 30k rupees, 30,000. So they saved 17 lakh and 3 months of work just by testing first approach. And guess what? When they launched this simplified MVP later, so retention was 70% higher because they built what people actually want, right? So like they joke about it now. Once one of the founders said, we started split charge to automate money splits, and ended up manually sending UPI links for a week. But that manually week was the best product research of their lives. So देखो इतना सिंपल रूल है ना, इफ़ यू कांट गेट 10 people टू यूज़ योर फीचर मैनुअली, you won't get 10,000 to use it digitally. Before you hire a developer, hire your common sense. Before you write a code, write a hypothesis. Before you launch, listen. Right? This is the power of feature innovation sprint. It turns guesswork into the proof without killing your budget. Right? So, but of course, every coin has a flip side. So some people don't test. They believe so much their idea is so much in their idea, they skip validation. So I have been seeing this firsthand, how this ends: burned money, lost teams, broken confidence. Let me tell you one such story. A founder who did everything right except one thing he never tested. So we call it as ex-founder. So we'll discuss that about his great story. Okay. So and how this uh, went into the different verticals and all those things. Okay. So we understand the business is all about making money, but thinking about focusing on the one particular business is very critical as well, aspect as well. Okay, so let's discuss that. And in my journey, I have seen my many founders win, but I have seen brilliant people fall hard. Right. So the most painful stories are not about bad ideas; they are of the good ideas, but built blindly. Right. So let me tell you one. We call this founder X. So he built a product called some XYZ. I cannot reveal his name or anything, but not the real name, but close enough. But he was very passionate, right? So he wanted to make some community based savings to make it more digital. So in small towns and offices, people forms groups, collect the money, monthly rotate the port and help each other. So this is like of a very kind of a old system, but informal. They thought, why not to bring this to an app? People can save together, invest together, and manage money transparently. Right? Solid idea, right? So even I loved this concept when I first heard it. So now here where is the mistake started here? Instead of testing whether people even wanted it online, he wanted all in. Okay, so full product roadmap, uh, full product roadmap. They have built AI credit score, gamifications, points, chat between the members, reward system, dashboard analytics, everything except one thing: user interview. When his friends asked भाई लोग इसको यूज़ करेंगे क्या, he said of course everyone saves money, right? Saves money, right? So he hired a team, spent 6 months and 10 lakh rupees building it. Launch हुआ, big day. He proudly posted, the India's first community saving platform is live. Okay, so first week 200 downloads, second week 50 actives, third week 5 users, fourth week silence. So and those 5, they were his relatives. Okay, so now here is a heartbreaking part here. So the idea was good, product worked, problem wasn't really enough for a user to switch. The people are comfortable using their Excel sheets or notebooks, right? So they did not even wanted to move online because they did not trust digital. Okay, so they did not trust digital. So उनको लगता था कि अगर ऐप क्रैश हो गया तो पैसा किधर गया. So they did not want a AI scores, they wanted a trust score. Okay, so they want a trust score. So that is what's lacking, kind of a thing what I observe here. When we later when I later analyzed the data, it was so obvious that his users were not early adopters, they were traditional savers. He built for tech savvy users who didn't even exist in that space. Think about it. He built an aeroplane for a people who still prefer a bullock carts, and they blamed them for not boarding. So, if he had a feature innovation sprint, he could have known this into 2 weeks. Imagine this alternate timeline. He makes a Google form asking, like, would you use an app to track your community savings? He built a screen prototype showing ad member record payment see history. So he asked 10 groups to try it manually via WhatsApp. So if 5 groups say yes and pay rupees 100 per month, it's a green light. If they hesitate, he knows that the gap isn't tech, it's a trust. He can then pivot to the building a reputation feature instead of dashboard, but he did not do that. But he went straight forward to code it, and that killed it. So after a 6 month, the product shut down quietly, team dispersed, and the founder felt like a failure. He told me once, आकाश, मुझे लगता था मैं गलत नहीं था, बस मैं जल्दी कर गया. And the line hit me hard because it's true. He wasn't wrong, just early, just untested. He did not validate before building. Okay, so it's not nothing, no idea is like before early to the market or back to the market, right? So it's all about validating before building, right? That's what I call builder's trap, right? So we builders are so excited to create, we forget to confirm, right? So here is a blunt truth: every untested idea looks beautiful until you met a real user. Testing does not kill creativity, it protects it. You cannot still dream big but test small. That's only the difference between a founder who burns out and founder who scales up. So that's what exactly why I created a feature innovation sprint. So people like a founder don't lose everything to assumptions, right? So now you have uh, heard this enterprise story, a big company that tested a feature and saved crores, right? So you have heard this startup story that tested some smart and found traction. So you have heard about this founder story and reminder of what happens when you skip the test. Now let's go practical, right? So let's break down how you can run a feature innovation sprint step by step. So whether you are a 5% startup or a 5,000 person enterprise, so let's get into that. So how to run this? We just talked about a lot of things right now. So we'll try to try to make it more practical sense so that you can go with it, the details. Okay. Okay. So let's get into the Excalibur and try to explain that part. Okay. So let's discuss that so you can understand that part easily. All right. So this was like it is a very great video you watched up till the end. Okay. So all right, we have heard the stories, right? So enterprise saved crores, startup saved months, founder lost both. अब देखते हैं फीचर इनोवेशन स्प्रिंट एक्चुअली कैसे चलता है. मैं इसको बिल्कुल सिंपल तरीके से समझाता हूँ, कोई फैंसी जार्गन नहीं, सिर्फ प्रोसेस. Think of it 7-day gym plan. You don't get 6-pack abs in a week, but you learn the right form so you don't injure yourself later. सबसे पहले define your feature in one line, not a paragraph, not a PPT. Okay, so first is define your feature clearly. Day 0. So this is what a clear picture. So step 1, define your feature clearly, that is a day 0. Okay, so define your feature clearly, that is a day 0. सबसे पहले define your features in one line. सबसे पहले define your feature in one line. Okay, so what are the things that you need to do in the step 1? You have to define your feature in one line. Okay, so you have to define your feature in one line. Okay, so not a paragraph, not a ppt, only one line. Okay, एक लाइन पे आपको बताना पड़ता है. So not a paragraph, not a line, you have to just write a single line. Okay, so now write a hypothesis. If we add this feature, 2% of active users will try within a week and set one success metric. यही आपका नॉर्थ स्टार है. ठीक है, विदाउट द मैट्रिक एवरी टेस्ट लुक्स सक्सेसफुल. सो स्टेप 2, डिज़ाइन एन एक्सपेरिमेंट. ओके, सो ये दूसरा स्टेप है, डिज़ाइन अ मिनी एक्सपेरिमेंट. सो दिस इज व्हाट वी डू. डिज़ाइन मिनी एक्सपेरिमेंट. डिज़ाइन मिनी एक्सपेरिमेंट. नेक्स्ट, डिज़ाइन द एक्सपेरिमेंट टाइप. आपके पास 5 ऑप्शंस हैं. चूज़ वन. फेक डोर टेस्ट, लैंडिंग पेज टेस्ट, प्रोटोटाइप टेस्ट, कंसीर्ज टेस्ट, विजार्ड ऑफ ऑज टेस्ट. ठीक है, सो फेक डोर टेस्ट में क्या होता है? शो बटन, कमिंग सून, ट्रीट क्लिक्स. लैंडिंग पेज टेस्ट, शो कॉन्सेप्ट, सी साइनअप्स, वो वाली टेस्ट कर सकते हो आप. प्रोटोटाइप टेस्ट में क्लिकेबल स्क्रीन्स होती है, बैक एंड कुछ नहीं होता है, जस्ट आप डेटा लेते हो, एक्सेल शीट में डंप करते हो. ठीक है, वैसा काइंड ऑफ प्रोटोटाइपिंग टेस्ट होती है. चौथा क्या होता है? कंसीज टेस्ट होता है. डिज़ाइन अ मिनी एक्सपेरिमेंट मतलब यही होती है. सो पाँच ऑप्शंस होते हैं, आप कौन सा भी चूज़ कर सकते हो आपके हिसाब से. बेसिकली थिंकिंग अबाउट योर एक्सपर्टीज़, ये चीज़ें हम कर सकते हैं. ठीक है, सो दैट इज़ व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू से दैट कि ये 5 टेस्ट आप करवा सकते हो, कंडक्ट करो. फेक डोर टेस्ट, शो बटन, कमिंग सून, ट्रैक क्लिक्स को ट्रैक करो, एनालिटिक्स डालो और चेक करो, डेटा से बात करो. ठीक है, गोल सिर्फ एक ही है, सी रियल यूज़र बिहेवियर बिफोर यू राइट अ रियल कोड. राइट, सो स्टेप नंबर 4. स्टेप नंबर 3, रिक्रूट यूज़र्स. ओके, रिक्रूट यूज़र्स. रिक्रूटर क्या करते हैं? रिक्रूट कैंडिडेट्स ना. सो आपको क्या करना पड़ेगा? डे 3 से डे 5 तक आपको रिक्रूट करना पड़ेगा यूज़र्स को. यूज़र से बात करो. राइट, सो यू हैव टू टॉक विद द यूज़र्स. लेट सपोज आपकी बिजनेसेस यूज़र्स हो सकती है, B2B हो सकता है, B2C भी हो सकता है. आपके यूज़र्स इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट भी हो सकते हैं, इंडस्ट्रीज भी हो सकते हैं. दैट वर्क्स फॉर एनी काइंड ऑफ ए डोमेन और एनी काइंड ऑफ ए बिजनेस. ठीक है, ये सब चीज़ें कौन से बिजनेस में भी काम हो सकती है. नाउ यू नीड अ सिंपल सैम्पल, स्मॉल सैम्पल चाहिए अभी. सो स्टार्ट विथ 100 to 1000 यूजर्स डिपेंडिंग ऑन योर स्केल. राइट, इफ़ यू आर अ स्टार्टअप, इंस्टाग्राम एड्स, लिंक्डइन DMs, व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप्स. इफ यू आर एन एंटरप्राइज, गो विथ ईमेल कैंपेन और इन ऐप बैनर. अभी बड़े कंपनीज हो तो ईमेल से स्टार्ट करो. आप ईमेल कैंपेन रन कर सकते हो, न्यूज़लेटर लिख सकते हो, न्यूज़लेटर के थ्रू एंगेज करवा सकते हो और समथिंग लाइक दैट. ठीक है, यू नीड हॉनेस्ट यूजर्स हियर. 10 राइट यूजर्स टीच मोर देन 1000 साइलेंट वंस. ओके, सो ये स्टेप 3 हो गया. रिक्रूट यूजर्स का मैंने बात किया कि आप स्टार्ट करो पहले थाउजेंड्स और 100 विथ 1000 यूजर्स डिपेंडिंग ऑन योर स्केल. आप कौन से स्केल पे हो वो डिपेंड करता है. और 5 स्टेप नंबर 4, रन एन एक्सपेरिमेंट्स. ठीक है, सो एक्सपेरिमेंट रन करो कि वेदर हाउ मैनी नंबर ऑफ इम्प्रेशंस यू आर गेटिंग इन योर लिंक्डइन DMs. ठीक है, so try to think about this particular thing. right, run experiment run करो 5वें दिन से 10वें दिन तक. when the feature goes live goes live for a testing, track 4 members. right, impression, how many saw the feature, clicks, how many showed the interest, starts, how many began using it, completion, how many actually finished it, कौन वो फिनिश कर चुका है वो फ्लो को. वो ये सब चीज़ें आपको देखनी ज़रूरी है. सो दिस आर द थिंग्स दैट यू नीड टू सी इट एंड यू शुड वॉच दिस पर्टिकुलर थिंग इन प्रैक्टिकल वे. ठीक है, सो स्टेप नंबर 4, ये सब चीज़ें आपको करनी पड़ेगी. पोस्ट डालो, ट्राई टू थिंक अबाउट दैट ना. सो कौन से भी बिजनेस हो, ये बड़ी बड़ी चीज़ें आपको करनी ज़रूरी है. ठीक है, ये नंबर्स एक्सेल में ट्रैक कर सकते हो. नो नीड फॉर एनालिटिक्स प्लेटफॉर्म, मैं जस्ट बताया हूँ. सो मैनुअल वर्क करना चाहते हो, पहले मैनुअल वर्क पहले करो. एंड टॉक टू द यूज़र, लिटरली 10 कॉल कर लो. ठीक है, आस्क 3 क्वेश्चंस. व्हाट वाज अ कंफ्यूजिंग, व्हाट डिड यू एक्सपेक्ट, वुड यू पे फॉर दिस और नॉट. ये सब ट्रैक करना स्टार्ट करो. बट स्टेप 5, एनालाइज एंड डिसाइड. ओके, so you have to analyze. Day 10 to 12 you have to decide and analyze here. Okay, so it's a day 10 to day 12, so you have to analyze it and you have to decide it. Okay, so I have created this. Yeah, so here now compare the data with your goal. Example, target with 2% conversion, you get 0.5%. डिसीशन क्लियर, फीचर नीड्स रीवर्क और किल. ठीक है, यहाँ सबसे इम्पॉर्टेंट रूल है नो इमोशन डिफेंस हियर. अगर डेटा बोलता है, यूजर्स डोंट केयर, एक्सेप्ट इट. ओके, बिकॉज डिनायल वेट्स मोर बजट देन फेल्यूर. ओके, सो स्टेप नंबर 6, डॉक्यूमेंट लर्निंग. ओके, सो स्टेप 6, डॉक्यूमेंट लर्निंग्स. जो सीखता है वो लिखो, जो सीखा है वो लिखो. राइट, सो दैट इज़ व्हाट आई ट्राई टू टेल दैट कि डॉक्यूमेंट लर्निंग्स, जो सीखो वो लिखो, जो सीखो वो लिखो. राइट, जो सीखा है वो लिखो. सो आपका गोल सिर्फ प्रूफ नहीं था, लर्निंग था. मेक अ 1 पेज रिपोर्ट, फीचर हाइपोथेसिस, मैट्रिक, रिजल्ट, नेक्स्ट स्टेप. बस, that's your internal startup bible. Okay, so that is what you need to do it. So after that you have to act on the result. If test passes, build MVP and confidence. If test fails, pivot or drop it. Okay, so this is what the how you will be going to do that. So act on the result, that is a day 14 days you can do this. If you have learned from this something and you got the results out of it, then voila, you can get started with this building this particular thing. Okay, so देखो, mindset is mindset summary. देखो, फीचर इनोवेशन स्प्रिंट सिर्फ फ्रेमवर्क नहीं है, ये माइंडसेट है. ठीक है, इट्स ऑल अबाउट शिफ्टिंग फ्रॉम व्हाट वी थिंक एंड व्हाट वी नो. राइट, फ्रॉम एन अजम्पशन टू एविडेंस. राइट, फ्रॉम अ फीचर कंप्लीट टू प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व्ड. राइट, और ये माइंडसेट लगातार टेस्टिंग से आता है. ठीक है, सो सिंपल एनालॉजीज फॉर न्यूबीज की टेस्टिंग एक फीचर बिना कोड के ऐसा है जैसे शादी से पहले एंगेजमेंट होता है. ठीक है, पहले देख लो कंपैटिबिलिटी है या नहीं. शादी में एरर मिलेगा तो कॉस्ट ज़्यादा होगी. ठीक है, शादी में एरर मिलेगा तो कॉस्ट ज़्यादा होगी. ठीक है, फीचर में भी सेम है, टेस्ट चीप है, रीवर्क कॉस्टली है. ठीक है, सो दैट इज़ व्हाट इन द मेजर इंडस्ट्री यू कैन रिलेट टू इट. लाइक most of the divorce cases are very costly for a men's, right? Why? Because kind of cases and all those things, I will be not going to that. So I am just trying to comparing between so that you can understand the terminologies more clearly. So don't get intimidated. What are the things I am going to talk about? But I am not talking about any general sense. It is like practical sense which I am talking about it. But this is what all together to understand it in better way. Okay, so the things is all about it. It is not about any person's lives. I'm not commenting about it, but it's all about understanding this about the startup. Okay, so transition to the metrics and templates. सब आपको जो अब आपको process समझ आया. 7 steps, 14 days, clear rules. Okay, so now next let me show you what numbers actually matter and how you track them with the fancy tools. We will talk about metrics, success, thresholds, and how you know if your feature is worth building or not. Okay, so we'll talk about that, and we'll discuss lot of things altogether. ओके, सो अब हमने देखा कि कैसे फीचर टेस्ट को होता है, कैसे प्रोसेस चलता है, एंड बिकॉज इफ़ यू कांट मेजर यू कांट इम्प्रूव. ओके, सो लेट्स मेक इट सिंपल. कोर मैट्रिक्स हियर. If in every feature innovation sprint you track basic numbers, 5 basic numbers, no rocket science, just common sense. Number 1 is an impression. How many people saw your feature or ad? How many people saw your feature or ad? Clicks. Number 2, clicks. How many got interested? Number 3, starts. How many actually began using it? Number 4, competition. How many finished it? Number 5, feedbacks. How many said yes, this helps me? अब ये numbers क्या बोलता है वो देखते हैं. Okay, so meaning of each metric. So imagine you added a button, right? Try premium dashboards. 10,000 लोगों ने देखा impressions. 500 लोगों ने क्लिक किया, 5% CTR. ठीक है. सो 150 ने स्टार्ट किया, 1.5% कन्वर्जन, राइट. सो 50 ने कंप्लीट किया, 0.5% ने फुल यूज़ किया. सो अब अगर 0.5% लोग पूरा यूज़ कर रहे हैं तो इसका मतलब है इंटरेस्ट है पर क्लैरिटी कम है. अगर CTR हाई है बट कंप्लीशन लो है, UI कंफ्यूजिंग है. सो अगर CTR लो है, कॉपी और पोजिशनिंग वीक है. अगर सब हाई है, बिल्ड इट, प्रूफ मिल गया है. देखा. सो डेटा बोरिंग नहीं होता है, डेटा स्पीक्स, एंड डेटा ही आपका इन्वेस्टर है, मेंटर और मिरर नहीं. मेंटर और मिरर है. ठीक है. सो सक्सेस थ्रेशोल्ड्स क्या होता है, यहाँ एक सिंपल रूल रखो, 2, 5 एंड 20 रूल, राइट. 2% ऑफ पीपल शो डीप इंटरेस्ट, क्लिक एंड स्टार्ट. 5% should engage with the prototype, use or feedback. Okay, 20% of those should say yes, I will pay or use it again. So अगर ये 3 नंबर है, क्रॉस ह्यू फीचर है, बनाने लायक है. ठीक है. अगर नहीं हुआ, फीचर अभी हाफ बेक्ड है, टेस्ट अगेन. सो रियल लेसन देखो, टेस्टिंग डज नॉट मेक यू परफेक्ट. ठीक है. इट मेक्स यू अवेयर. The goal of sprint is not about getting 100% success rate. Goal is not to save time, money or reputation. Enterprise think testing slows them down, but actually it protects from building white elephants. Okay, so startup think testing is for corporates, but actually they are the ones who can't afford mistakes. So wherever you are a founder, product manager, student or a dreamer, remember, every untested idea is a risk disguised as a progress. Think of like this. If you are building a new dish, you taste before serving, right? You don't cook for 100 guests and then check salt. But founders do that every day. They serve thousands users without tasting it, their own recipe. Then they wonder why no one eating. Taste is a test your feature. That's your feature innovation sprint. So मैं एक बात बोलता हूँ, हर फाउंडर को कोड से पहले करेज चाहिए. करेज टू टेस्ट, करेज टू बी रॉन्ग, करेज टू आस्क योर यूजर्स, 3 C's. सो और निर्विक्ष इस करेज को सिस्टम में बदल देता है. सो दैट टेस्टिंग बिकम्स नेचुरल, नॉट एन ऑप्शनल. ओके, सो नाउ यू नो दैट how world best builders think. They don't just build fast, they build with proof, and that's a future of product building. Testing before coding, proof before production. That is why feature innovation sprint exists inside Nirvaksh. For enterprises, it saves growth. For startup, it saves survival. For founders, it saves sanity. Okay, so and the with the end note, would you I will leave you with one questions. Would you test a feature before coding it? Comment your answer below, yes or no, and why, because your reason will teach someone else. Okay, and if you are a founder or an enterprise who wants to try this system, the Nirvex Teams helps you run your first sprint step by step. But even if you don't, at least promise one thing: never build blind thing. Okay, because testing isn't a luxury anymore, it's a survival. Here I am Akash Samant. This was a story, science and system blind system behind the Nirvex innovation feature. Let's build smarter, build faster, build with proof with Nirvex. Okay, so that's it from my side. This is what all about the uh, day number 13. So what we build this particular thing, and all about that. Okay, so that's it from my side. We'll discuss in the next video. Happy learning and great exploring. Keep exploring and keep innovating the ideas and keep executing that and test it, then try to build that stuff